The shocking return of Faison. Port Charles prepares for another storm. The residents of Port Charles are bracing themselves for what could be another devastating chapter in their lives, as rumors swirl around the potential return of one of General Hospital's most notorious villains, Caesar Faison. With the recent miraculous returns of both Nathan West and Dr. Britt Westburn from the grave, the stage appears set for their father, the obsessive and dangerous Faison, to make his own dramatic comeback. Nathan and Britt's resurrection sparks speculation. The September 2025 episodes of General Hospital have left viewers stunned as Nathan West, portrayed by Ryan Pavey, made his shocking return after being presumed dead for 7 years. Nathan first appeared as an accident victim on September 19, 2025, being rushed into the emergency room after a car crash, leaving Anna Devane, Dante Falconeri, and hospital staff bewildered by his presence. DNA tests and fingerprint analysis have confirmed his identity, despite the impossibility of his survival after being shot by his own father in 2018. Similarly, Dr. Britt Westburn's return has created waves throughout Port Charles. Kelly Thiebaud reprised her role in July 2025, with Britt explaining that she faked her death to escape the serial killer known as the Hook. Her reappearance has been particularly significant as she's been working in a mysterious laboratory for an unknown boss, conducting secret research while managing her Huntington's disease with experimental medication. The Faison connection emerges. The most intriguing development has been the mounting evidence suggesting that Caesar Faison may still be alive. Recent episodes have featured cryptic comments from Valentine Casadini, who, when reminded by Jack Brennan that Faison has been dead for years, responded with a telling "if you say so," before adding that his organization lives on. This exchange has fueled speculation that the master manipulator may have once again cheated death, adding to the mystery. Britt received a suspicious package containing her experimental Huntington's medication, accompanied by a note signed "Simply C." Given Faison's history and his obsession with controlling those around him, many fans are connecting this mysterious benefactor to Caesar himself. The fact that someone has been providing Britt with life-saving medication while she works in a secret laboratory suggests a larger operation at play. Anders Hove's potential return. The speculation reached new heights when reports emerged of Anders Hove, the Danish actor who masterfully portrayed Caesar Faison for decades, being spotted at the ABC General Hospital set. Hove's portrayal of Faison from 1990 to 2018 made him one of soap opera's most memorable villains, known for his obsessive pursuit of Anna Devane and his ability to return from apparent death. His character has previously survived multiple presumed deaths, including boat explosions and gunshot wounds, making another resurrection entirely plausible within the soap opera universe. General Hospital's head writers, Chris Van Etten and Elizabeth Court, have only added fuel to the fire with their recent comments. They've hinted that the Faison Obrecht clan is just getting started and suggested that Anna Devane will become increasingly suspicious that only Faison could have orchestrated the survival of both Nathan and Britt. Their statement that Anna's fall is about learning the truth behind their survival. But the more questions she asks, the closer she is to danger strongly implies Faison's involvement. The pattern of Faison's obsessions. Faison's character has always been defined by his twisted relationships and manipulative control over his family members. His obsession with Anna Devane drove much of his villainy throughout the years, and his complicated relationships with his children, Nathan, Britt, and Peter August, created some of General Hospital's most dramatic storylines. The fact that both Nathan and Britt have now returned from the dead, while Peter August previously survived his own apparent demise, suggests a pattern that points directly to Faison's influence. The timing of these returns is particularly significant. Nathan's reappearance comes at a moment when his son James has been expressing a desire for his biological father, telling Felicia that he wishes his real daddy could be with him. Meanwhile, Britt's return coincides with major upheaval in Port Charles, including Monica Quartermain's recent death and Drew Kane's shooting, creating the perfect cover for Faison's machinations. The WSB connection and larger implications. The involvement of the WSB World Security Bureau in recent storylines adds another layer of complexity to Faison's potential return, with Jack Brennan actively investigating various Port Charles mysteries, and Valentine Casadini being consulted from prison about past DVX operations. The stage is set for revelations about Faison's survival, Anna Devane's position as police commissioner, and her history with both the WSB and Faison. creates a perfect storm for the confrontation that fans have been anticipating. The mysterious laboratory where Britt has been working, combined with the advanced medical technology that apparently saved both her and Nathan's lives, suggests resources and planning that only someone with Faison's connections and obsessive nature could orchestrate. His background with the DVX and his history of using advanced medical procedures for his schemes make him the most logical candidate for the mastermind behind these resurrections. Port Charles prepares for chaos. If Faison is indeed alive and operating from the shadows, Port Charles residents should prepare for the kind of chaos that only he can bring. His previous returns have resulted in kidnappings, murders, and elaborate schemes that have torn apart families and destroyed lives. His obsession with Anna Devane has never wavered, and her current investigation into Nathan and Britt's returns puts her directly in his crosshairs. Once again, the psychological impact on characters like Liesl Obrecht, who believed she had finally buried her past with Faison, would be devastating. Nathan's return has already created complications for his relationship with Maxie Jones, who has been in a coma, and the revelation that Faison orchestrated his survival would add another layer of trauma to an already complex situation. The perfect storm. Several factors have aligned to make Faison's return not just possible, but dramatically necessary. The show has invested considerable effort in bringing back both Nathan and Britt, creating a mystery that demands a satisfying explanation. The casting of Ryan Pavey and Kelly Thiebaud's returns have been major promotional points for the show, suggesting that their storylines will have significant long-term implications. Anders Hove's reported presence at the studio, combined with the writer's hints about the Faison family legacy, creates anticipation that can only be satisfied by the villain's dramatic return. The character of Faison has always been larger than life, and his ability to cheat death has become one of his defining characteristics. Given the soap opera genre's love of shocking twists and the return of presumed dead characters, Faison's resurrection would be the ultimate payoff to the current mystery. The storm approaches. As General Hospital moves forward with these interconnected storylines, all signs point to Caesar Faison's imminent return to Port Charles. The mysterious C who has been helping Britt, the impossible survivals of Nathan and Britt, and the hints from the show's writers all suggest that the master manipulator has been pulling strings from behind the scenes. When he finally reveals himself, it will undoubtedly unleash another devastating storm upon the residents of Port Charles, just as he has done so many times before. The question is no longer whether Faison will return, but rather when and how his comeback will unfold. Given his history of elaborate schemes and his talent for psychological manipulation, his return promises to be every bit as shocking and destructive as fans have come to expect from one of daytime television's greatest villains. Next, we will learn about the explosive situation brewing between Lulu Spencer and Britt Westburn that threatens to tear apart young Rocco Falcone's world in the most devastating way imaginable. The shocking restraining order threat. The tension between Lulu Spencer and Britt Westburn has reached a boiling point that nobody saw coming, with sources revealing that Lulu is seriously contemplating taking the nuclear option, a restraining order that could forever change the dynamics of Port Charles. This devastating legal maneuver would officially prohibit Britt from coming anywhere near Rocco, creating an insurmountable barrier between the boy and the woman he's grown to see as a maternal figure. The mere thought of such drastic action has already sent shockwaves through the Falconeri household, with Rocco becoming increasingly agitated at the suggestion that his connection to Britt could be severed by court order. Insiders close to the Spencer family reveal that Lulu's desperation has reached critical levels as she witnesses her son's growing attachment to someone she considers a dangerous interloper in their lives. The restraining order isn't just a legal document, it's Lulu's last-ditch effort to reclaim her role as Rocco's primary maternal influence before Britt's psychological manipulation can cause irreversible damage to their mother-son bond. Rocco's dangerous secret meetings. Despite Lulu's escalating concerns, Rocco has already begun orchestrating clandestine encounters with Britt that would horrify his mother if she discovered the truth. These secret rendezvous have evolved from innocent curiosity into something far more complex and emotionally charged, with Rocco going to extraordinary lengths to maintain contact with the woman he believes holds the key to understanding his mysterious past. The teenager has become remarkably sophisticated in his deception, utilizing multiple social media platforms and encrypted messaging apps to coordinate meetings that occur in seemingly innocent locations throughout Port Charles. What started as simple online conversations have transformed into elaborate schemes, involving fake study groups and fictional friend gatherings, all designed to create opportunities for Rocco to spend time with Britt, without arousing Lulu's suspicion. Sources within General Hospital reveal that Rocco has even gone so far as to recruit sympathetic classmates as alibis, creating an entire network of teenage accomplices who help facilitate these forbidden encounters. The psychological impact of maintaining such an elaborate web of deception is beginning to take its toll on the young man, who finds himself caught between loyalty to his mother and his desperate need for answers only Britt can provide. Britt's maternal delusions intensify. The situation becomes even more volatile when examining Britt Westburn's increasingly unstable mental state regarding her relationship with Rocco. Her conviction that she deserves maternal recognition has evolved into something psychiatrists would classify as a dangerous fixation, with Britt genuinely believing that her role in Rocco's early life grants her superior parental rights compared to Lulu. Behind closed doors, Britt has been observed engaging in disturbing behavior that suggests her grip on reality may be slipping. She has created an elaborate shrine in her apartment dedicated to the time she spent raising the child she knew as Ben, complete with photographs, baby items, and detailed journals documenting every milestone she witnessed. This obsessive documentation reveals the depth of her emotional investment and explains why she refuses to accept Lulu's authority over Rocco's life. Medical professionals who have encountered Britt recently note concerning changes in her demeanor when discussing Rocco, describing an intense emotional volatility that alternates between tender maternal affection and fierce protective rage. Her insistence on referring to Rocco as Ben has become more frequent and pronounced, suggesting that she may be experiencing some form of dissociative episode that prevents her from accepting the current reality. Lulu's escalating desperation. Lulu Spencer's mental state has deteriorated significantly as she watches her son's affection for Britt intensify with each passing day. Friends and family members have noticed dramatic changes in Lulu's behavior, including obsessive monitoring of Rocco's activities and increasingly frequent confrontations with anyone she perceives as supporting Britt's involvement in their lives. The protective mother has begun implementing extreme measures to maintain control over the situation, including hiring a private investigator to document Britt's activities and consulting with multiple attorneys about the fastest way to obtain legal protection. These desperate actions reveal the depth of Lulu's fear that she may be losing the battle for her son's loyalty, driving her to consider options she would have never contemplated under normal circumstances. Lulu's paranoia has reached such heights that she has begun questioning the motives of longtime friends and family members, suspecting them of secretly facilitating contact between Rocco and Britt. This deteriorating trust has isolated Lulu at the very moment when she needs support most, creating a dangerous cycle of suspicion and desperation that threatens to destroy her remaining relationships. The restraining order catastrophe. The potential restraining order represents a psychological nuclear bomb that could obliterate any remaining hope for peaceful resolution. Legal experts familiar with family court dynamics warn that such drastic action would likely backfire spectacularly, driving Rocco further into Britt's influence, while simultaneously destroying his relationship with Lulu. Rocco's recent experiences with Drew Kane's restraining order tactics have left him deeply traumatized and hypersensitive to any form of legal manipulation. The teenager has expressed intense anger at adults who use the court system to control relationships, viewing such actions as the ultimate betrayal of trust between family members. If Lulu proceeds with the restraining order, she risks triggering a psychological crisis in Rocco that could permanently damage their bond. The irony of the situation has not been lost on Port Charles observers, who note that Lulu's protective instincts may ultimately achieve the exact opposite of her intended goal. Rather than safeguarding her relationship with Rocco, the restraining order threat has already begun driving the teenager toward more secretive and potentially dangerous behavior. The Underground Railroad. Perhaps most concerning of all is the emerging network of individuals who have begun facilitating secret communications between Rocco and Britt. This underground support system includes sympathetic hospital staff members, fellow patients who remember Britt fondly, and even some members of the extended Falconeri family who believe Lulu's approach is too extreme. These enablers have created a sophisticated communication network that allows Rocco and Britt to maintain contact despite Lulu's increasing vigilance. The system includes dead drops for written messages, coded social media posts, and carefully orchestrated accidental encounters in public spaces throughout Port Charles. The psychological impact of operating within this clandestine network is intensifying Rocco's sense of rebellion against his mother's authority, while simultaneously strengthening his emotional attachment to Britt. Each successful secret meeting reinforces his belief that he must protect his relationship with Britt at all costs, setting the stage for an inevitable confrontation that could shatter multiple families. Next, we will learn about the explosive situation that could destroy Kai Taylor and Trina Robinson's futures as devastating evidence threatens to expose their darkest secrets. The fatal baseball bat evidence, the nightmare scenario that Kai Taylor has been desperately trying to avoid, is about to become his horrifying reality as forensic investigators prepare to drop a bombshell that could shatter his entire world. Deep within the Port Charles Police Department's evidence locker sits the baseball bat that Kai impulsively grabbed during those terrifying moments at Drew Kane's residence. And unknown to the panicked young man, his fingerprints are perfectly preserved across its surface like a neon sign, pointing directly to his involvement in the shooting incident. What makes this evidence particularly damning is the context surrounding Kai's presence at the scene. He wasn't there for any legitimate reason that he can publicly admit without exposing the illegal safe-cracking operation that brought him and Trina to Drew's bedroom. In the first place, the baseball bat, which normally would have been an innocent piece of sporting equipment, has now transformed into a weapon of mass destruction against Kai's freedom, carrying the potential to link him directly to attempted murder charges that could send him to prison for decades. Forensic experts working the case have already begun the painstaking process of analyzing every surface of the bat, using advanced fingerprinting techniques that can detect even the faintest traces of human contact. The irony of the situation hasn't been lost on Kai, who grabbed the bat purely as a defensive measure, intending to protect both himself and Trina. If the mysterious shooter had decided to search the house for witnesses to eliminate Trina's dangerous gambit, in a desperate move that could either save Kai's life or destroy her own future, Trina Robinson is preparing to commit perjury on a scale that would make even the most hardened criminals nervous. Sources close to the investigation reveal that Trina has been crafting an elaborate false alibi that places both her and Kai miles away from Drew's residence during the shooting, complete with fabricated timestamps, fictional witnesses, and a detailed backstory designed to withstand police scrutiny. The complexity of Trina's planned deception goes far beyond a simple lie. She has been researching security camera locations throughout Port Charles, studying traffic patterns, and even considering bribing local business owners to corroborate her false timeline. Her plan involves claiming they were at a romantic dinner at a restaurant on the opposite side of town, followed by a walk through Pier Park where she hopes the darkness and limited surveillance will make verification impossible. What Trina doesn't realize is that her noble attempt to save Kai could trigger a domino effect that exposes not only their safe-cracking mission, but also the underlying blackmail scheme involving her mother Portia Robinson's medical tampering with Heather Weber's treatment records. The false alibi creates a web of lies that investigators will inevitably unravel, potentially exposing corruption that reaches into the highest levels of General Hospital's administration. The blackmail documents discovery. The papers that Kai and Trina successfully extracted from Drew's safe contain information so explosive that their discovery could trigger a scandal that destroys multiple prominent Port Charles families simultaneously. These documents don't just prove Portia Robinson's medical tampering with Heather Weber's psychiatric medications, they reveal a comprehensive conspiracy involving falsified medical records, unauthorized treatment modifications, and potentially deadly medication substitutions that put numerous patients at risk. Hidden within the stolen documents are detailed communications between Portia and unknown conspirators, financial records showing suspicious payments, and medical charts that have been systematically altered to cover up the extent of the tampering. The blackmail material also includes photographs of Portia entering restricted areas of General Hospital during off hours, audio recordings of incriminating conversations, and email exchanges that explicitly discuss the cover-up strategy. Most shocking of all, the documents suggest that Portia's actions weren't motivated solely by concerns about Heather's dangerous mental state, but were part of a larger scheme involving insurance fraud, research grant manipulation, and the systematic elimination of evidence in multiple medical malpractice cases. If these revelations become public, they won't just destroy Portia's career, They could trigger criminal investigations that reach into every corner of General Hospital's operations. Drew's manipulative awakening. As Drew Kane slowly recovers from his gunshot wounds, fragments of memory from the shooting incident are beginning to surface in ways that could completely reshape the investigation's direction. Medical sources at General Hospital reveal that Drew has been experiencing vivid flashbacks that include not just the shooting itself, but also sounds and voices he heard immediately before losing consciousness, voices that bear a striking resemblance to both Kai and Trina. The manipulation potential in Drew's recovered memories creates a terrifying new dimension to the crisis facing both young people. If Drew chooses to reveal what he remembers about hearing intruders in his home, he could single-handedly destroy their alibi attempts, while simultaneously exposing their criminal activities. However, Drew's own complicated relationship with the truth, particularly regarding his previous statements about Michael Corinthos, means that his testimony could cut both ways. Intelligence sources suggest that Drew may be considering using his recovered memories as leverage against Kai and Trina, potentially offering them protection in exchange for their silence about whatever sensitive information they may have discovered in his safe. This three-way Mexican standoff could result in a complex blackmail scenario where each party holds devastating information about the others, creating an unstable situation that could explode at any moment. The Ashford family meltdown. The investigation's potential to expose Trina's involvement creates a catastrophic threat to the entire Ashford family structure, particularly with Stella Henry already facing her own legal challenges that have left the family vulnerable to public scrutiny. Curtis Ashford's position as a respected private investigator means that any scandal involving his stepdaughter could destroy his professional reputation and eliminate his ability to earn a living in Port Charles. Portia Robinson's career as a prominent physician hangs by an increasingly thin thread as the investigation edges closer to exposing her medical tampering activities. The irony of the situation is particularly cruel. Portia's attempts to protect Port Charles from Heather Weber's dangerous influence may ultimately result in her own professional destruction and criminal prosecution. The medical board has already begun asking questions about unusual patterns in patient treatment records, and it's only a matter of time before they discover the full extent of her unauthorized interventions. The psychological pressure on the Ashford family has reached breaking point, with Curtis struggling to maintain his professional obligations while protecting his family, Portia fighting to cover up her medical crimes, and Trina preparing to commit perjury to save her boyfriend. This perfect storm of criminal activity and family loyalty threatens to consume everyone involved in a scandal that could make headlines across the entire state. The investigation's deadly turn. Police investigators working the Drew Kane shooting case have begun connecting dots that could lead them directly to the truth about Kai and Trina's presence at the scene. Using advanced forensic techniques that go far beyond simple fingerprint analysis, crime scene specialists have discovered trace DNA evidence, fiber samples, and even digital footprints that could place both young people inside Drew's residence. During the critical time period, the investigation team has also begun analyzing security footage from surrounding neighborhoods, tracking cell phone tower data, and interviewing witnesses who may have seen suspicious activity near Drew's home. This comprehensive approach means that Trina's false alibi faces scrutiny from multiple angles, creating numerous opportunities for investigators to discover inconsistencies that could unravel their entire deception. Most ominously, police sources suggest that the shooting incident may not have been a random crime, but rather a targeted attack connected to Drew's political activities or his access to sensitive congressional information. If this theory proves correct, it could transform Kai and Trina from potential suspects into key witnesses in a much larger conspiracy, a development that could either save them from prosecution or place them in mortal danger from the real perpetrators.